If you've hit big milestones in your business, the revenue, the clients, even the lifestyle, but deep down, you still don't feel like a success, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to show you why success may not feel as successful and the simple frameworks and mindset shifts that have helped me and my clients feel fulfilled without losing the desire to win. One of the things that I've observed from listening to my friends, learning from other successful people, or even my clients, is that even when you're at successful places and things in your business, that you're going to still feel the same feelings that you felt when you weren't successful. And therapist Devon Lewis calls that inner voice the inner bully. And what is the inner bully? The inner bully is the voice inside your head that tells you that you're not good enough, that tells you that you're a failure, that tells you that you're a fraud, that tells you that maybe people don't really think that I'm that great, or maybe people will find out that I don't know everything. It's that inner feeling inside, that voice that you hear in your head that tells you you're not good enough, or maybe your idea won't pan out, or what if this doesn't work, or this isn't good enough. That voice inside your head is the inner bully. And a lot of psychotherapists or people in that space call it imposter syndrome. And what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is the fear that others will eventually uncover your perceived weaknesses and question your competence the same way you do. And this happens for every single person. No matter if you're making no money or if you're making $100 million a year, people are still faced with that every single day. The feeling that they're a fraud, the feeling that people may find out that they're not as good as they think. And the simple reality is this, and I've noticed it with the clients that I've helped and worked with to shift their mindset so they can make more money, or even people that I just talked to or the friends that I have, is that no one really knows what they're doing. Everybody is figuring it out. And when you understand that and you have that understanding, you begin to get more free. I remember I was talking to one of my friends, and she runs a multi-million-dollar brand. And I remember she called me and she was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And she has tons of employees. She has her own office and all these things. But it doesn't matter how much money she makes. She still didn't know what she was doing. And I've heard from people who run successful businesses. I've heard from people who are not running successful business. They say the same thing, like, we're just trying to figure it out. Like, we're just figuring out. The difference is that you have to silence that inner bully, silence that inner voice in your head that's telling you that you can't be successful. And where does that inner voice come from? It comes from, and it starts from your emotions. And most entrepreneurs are good logically. They're good at making logical decisions. But where it gets tough for them is that they're not good with their emotions. They hide their emotions. They tuck them. But they come out in moments where you have to make decisions. This may be why it's hard for you to make certain decisions in your business. It may be hard for you to run your organization or run your team. It may be hard for you to make clear-minded decisions to put your business in the next level, because you have to learn how to silence your inner bully, to silence the inner voice in your head that is causing you to feel like a fraud, that's causing you to have these fears. And your emotions are a key player. And what are your emotions? Your emotions are simply just indicators that are letting you know that you're out of whack, that you're out of balance, that you're going through something or something's happening. They're not necessarily good. They're not necessarily bad. They're just indicators. They're the same thing like if you were driving your car. If you're about to run out of gas, what happens? Your gas tank light comes on. Why? Because it's alerting you, hey, something's going on. You're about to run out of gas. This doesn't necessarily mean you're about to be on the side of the road at that second, but it's letting you know that you're getting low. And your emotions are doing the same thing, whether it's emotion of happiness, whether it's sadness. And there are three main emotions that will cause your imposter syndrome, or that's helping your inner voice, that inner bully in your head, bully you out of the greater thinking that you want. And those emotions are fear, resentment, and guilt. And if you're struggling with those three emotions, you have to understand and learn how to subdue those emotions, so that way you can break through and get to the success that you have and the success that you want, even more levels, right? Because you need to understand this. Your job of your brain is to protect you. So what your brain does is going to protect you, and it's going to give off emotions so that way you stay safe, right? One of the emotions that you may have is fear. So if you get around an animal that could be dangerous, like a dog or something. You may have fear of that dog, not because the dog is necessarily a threat, but you have this fear because your brain's saying this is a potential enemy. And if I'm feared, it's going to raise your heart rate. It's going to give you some adrenaline. Why? Because you may have to run. Which is why when you see people with adrenaline, they can do superhuman things like jump over fences, or there's mothers that their kids are trapped and they're scared, and they have this adrenaline rush and they can open car doors or push cars over or things like that. Not because they're Superwoman or Superman. It's simply because their emotions are giving them a heightened sense so they can do what's necessary to be successful, because their brains are like, we have to go in overdrive for you to be successful. But in business, you have to learn how to control those emotions, so that way you don't throw yourself off your game in the midst and ruin your success because you feel like a failure. Just because you have these feelings doesn't make your feelings fact. So there's a simple three-step framework and mindset shift that I personally went through and that I've helped my clients do, so that way they are able to handle those emotions, handle that inner bully inside, and push through and get to the next level. So the number one mindset shift that you have to understand and make is this: your inner voice constantly lies to you. And when you start realizing the voice in your head is constantly lying to you, then you can start to get to that next level. Because for most people, they listen to their inner voice and they just speak it as truth. So they listen to that inner voice and say, well, that idea won't work. We won't make any money. Or if we post this, it won't work. Or I don't want to write this book because what if nobody reads the book? Those things are constantly in your head. You have to understand, my inner voice will continuously lie to me. Right? So once you understand that the voice in your head will constantly lie to you, then you can take the next steps in order to get to the point where you can decipher, should I keep this thought, or should I throw this thought away and retool it or reinvent it to turn into something else? So the way that I do this is this 3-step process, this 3-step framework. And you can do these 3 steps right now in this video and use it in your daily life, so that way you can see more success and less failure, or the less feeling of being a fraud or failure. Number 1 is you need to question yourself. I am always questioning myself. If I have a thought of, oh, this idea won't work, I ask myself this question: what makes you think it won't work? And I go and I just talk to myself in my head. Or what's causing you to believe that it won't work? Or why do you think it's not working? I'm constantly talking to myself, because I understand if I start adding logic to my emotions, I start realizing that my thoughts and fears are not really that deep. They're not really that big. They're not really that much of a problem. Or I may say, what would happen if it does work? What would make this work? Or, oh, what if people find out that I really may not know what I'm doing right now? Or what if my employees think that I don't really know what I'm doing? It's like, I question that. Well, if your employees thought that you didn't know what they do, would they still work with you? Would they trust you? No, they work with you. They still trust you. So in my head, I'm going through I'm questioning myself. I'm always questioning myself. And when I say question yourself, I'm not saying you should always second guess yourself. But when you have those irrational emotions, when you have those fears, when you have that resentment in your head, when you have that guilt, you need to question it. Right? There's a lot of people I know that they're the first millionaire in their family. They're the first person that's successful in their circle, and they feel guilty. They're like, why me? Why, like, I don't deserve this. Well, you should question that feeling. What makes me deserving of this success? Oh, because I stayed up all night while my friends were out partying. Oh, because I read books every day. Oh, because I posted this many times. Like, you start thinking those things, and it starts neutralizing the emotions. Right? It starts neutralizing the fear or the guilt or the sadness. Like, all those things start to be neutralized. Why? Because you simply just question those emotions. Here's the second thing you can do after you question your emotions. The second thing you can do is this: learn how to accept compliments. Right? We have this whole thing about being humble, and a lot of times people think humility is lowering yourself so that way other people don't get offended by them. It's a great quote that Deion Sanders says, and I love it. It says, "Don't let my confidence offend your insecurities." Being humble is not lowering yourself. Being humble is understanding that you're not better than anybody. That yes, you can have the money, you can make the millions of dollars. Yes, you can have the cars, the clothes, you can have the lifestyle, you can have the clients, you can have the success stories. But you have to understand that those are what you do and not who you are. And you cannot allow those things to affect who you are. So, but you have to learn to accept compliments. One thing that I struggled with when I was becoming successful is I did not know how to accept compliments. I would always just throw the compliment back and say, I'm just doing this, or, this is not that big of a deal. But one thing that I did was when somebody complimented, I just said, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I just sat with it, right? When people give you compliments, just say, thank you. I appreciate that. Because what they're really doing is acknowledging something that you probably don't see in yourself. And when you acknowledge it and take that compliment, then you start seeing how it affects people. Like, I remember when I would go to events and people would tell me that, oh, this one thing you said changed my life. Or this one thing you taught changed everything for me. And I would be like, thank you. I didn't know how to take it because I'm like, I'm really not that. I would say I'm really not that great. I'm really not that important. But then I started realizing, like, no, I'm created the image of God. Like, I am great. Like, he put these things inside of me. So let me say thank you, because they're not really thanking me. They're not really acknowledging me as a person. They're acknowledging the gift that he put inside me. And I should be grateful for that gift. So I started saying thank you. And the third framework that changes is not only should you question yourself, you should learn to accept compliments. But the third framework that I use that helped me with my imposter syndrome, that helped me with my inner voice and the inner bully inside, is write out how you're an imposter and how you aren't. If you feel like you're a fraud, or you feel like you feel like that in an area, whatever area it is, maybe it's with your employees, maybe it's with your new offer, maybe it's with your personal brand, whatever it is, you need to write down, okay, why do I feel like I'm not good enough? Write that list down. And I want you to sit with that list. And then with the other list, write down how you aren't an imposter. So you could say, oh, I don't deserve this new car. Write down why you think you don't deserve it. Because this. And then write down, why do I deserve this car? Boo, 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 boo. You write this down. You write this list down. And you'll start to realize that the list of why you do deserve it is usually going to be way longer than the list of why you don't. And then even with the don't list, you got to ask yourself, well, is this actually true? Is this actually true? And you realize that those things, that the reasons why you think they're not true, is that because of a perception in your head that's not even false. That's not even true. It's super false. It's actually outlandish. But you can't see it because you're just accepting it emotionally. You're just accepting it. Yes, it has to be true. Instead of just looking down and seeing and analyzing it. And this is some of the stuff that I do for my clients daily. So listen, if you're a entrepreneur, you have employees, or you run a big business, but you want to make more money, and you understand that your mind and your mind state is the main factor that's getting you to this point, but you want to sharpen it. Listen, there's a link down in the description. You can book a call with me and my team, and we'll show you the frameworks. We'll sit down with you, see where we can fix, where we can help, and how we can help you get to that revenue that you want to. But listen, I want you to understand this. This is where your success comes from. It's not only understanding your brain, not only understanding and seeing your emotions, but you getting to the point that you can flesh it out, and that you can start silencing that inner voice in your head. Because when you start silencing that inner voice, you become more powerful. When you start controlling your emotions, when you start controlling how you think, you become a more powerful person every single day. So that way you can make better decisions. You can live better become a better husband, a better wife, a better father, a better mother, a better friend, a better employer, and a better mentor, a better coach, a better mentee. You become just a overall better person. So that way you can see the success that you want to see.